Who are you?
Who are you? Now, that's a hard question to answer, but luckily it's gotten easier the older I've gotten. But hi everyone, I'm Mio. I'm a trans woman. I use she, her pronouns, and I've been out as a trans lesbian woman for close to 4 years at the time of writing the script. The script has actually been sitting around for a while. I've been meaning to to do all this for quite some time now, and here we are. Anyways, it's a somewhat easier question to answer now as an adult, but it really stumped me a lot as a kid about who I wanted to be, what I wanted to do. All the labels I had at the time just felt wrong. Trans childhoods are complicated. I've known I was trans since I was probably 10 years old, although probably even younger. I just didn't have the words back then to really describe what that meant. I just knew I definitely wasn't a boy. That I knew for sure. That label always felt wrong. I'd shown signs of being trans even earlier in my life. My dysphoria didn't really start hitting me like, an isekai protagonist until I hit puberty in middle school. As an early teen, I didn't have the words to describe how I felt except feeling trapped. And really sad, which I can now recognize as my first signs of depression. Like, my skin didn't feel like mine, my clothes never fit properly. Not in the way other people describe, like, you're like a growing teen, you're lanky, awkward, teen growing phase, that's... It did feel like that, but not in the way others felt. I remember being forced to attend PE every day and trudge into the freaking gross locker room that was drenched in way too much Axe body spray.
I always hate going in there.
If anyone's been around that, oh gosh, it gives me nightmares to this day thinking about it. I remember the horrors of taking my shirt off in front of all these boys, and it was just, oh god, it felt so wrong. It felt like walking into the wrong changing room every time. My skin was like literally crawling every day. I remember my chest being touched by fucking weird teenage boys in gross ways as well. Like, I don't know what it is with freaking teenage boys not having boundaries. Even some boys still now don't have boundaries. I remember the freaking how mad I would get about wanting to literally just like deck them. It's just one of the few times I did actually like hit someone
Watch out.
or yell at someone. I was not very confrontational as a kid. I feel like I'm still not, but it's one of the few times I did actually, throw a hand. But yeah, enough about how awful teens are. Back to the depressing shit.
Hooray!
I remember going to bed almost every night and crying and dreaming I would just wake up as a girl and have others perceive me that way. That's just the way I always truly felt. I remember not being allowed to cry, complain, or be soft. I was supposed to be a quote-unquote man. Crying and showing emotion isn't girly. My hyper-machismo, headstrong, stereotypical Mexican father just refused to see that in me, or any of my siblings. My father was just kind of cruel for wishing no emotions upon his children. I even remember him getting mad at us for laughing on occasion, just for being too noisy. It's just like, don't you want to hear your kids be happy? Anyways, in elementary school, we were forced to wear uniforms constantly, and I was always so jealous of how the girls had like way more choices and what kind of outfits they wanted to wear, while boys always only had a choice between pants, shorts with a polo. He wanted manly sons, by all accounts, so I couldn't dare ask if I could like maybe try a dress or a skirt or makeup to him, or to anyone for that matter. I just felt stuck. I would cry pretty often, behind closed doors, even open doors, in the classroom, on the playground. I just didn't know what to do. I just felt incredibly stuck. It led me to getting bullied a lot, getting called a sissy, which I felt super self-conscious about as a teen, because I was still trying to play the part of this teen boy. My father ingrained into me this mentality that I was not to question his authority, his anger, so I did just that for most of my life. I played along. Being Latina didn't make being forced into a gender identity any easier. For those of you that don't know, the Spanish language has the curse of being very gendered. The way you conjugate verbs can change, whether the speaker is male or female. I'm sure non-binary Spanish speakers can also share an even more heightened disdain for this. Anyways, this language, which I always had to speak at home, led to even more constant dysphoria in my life growing up. Heck, even now. I remember wanting to grow out my hair like my friends at school, because I was friends with a lot of girls at school. I didn't have too many guy friends growing up. Just in general, I felt like. Not until college, and even so then, it always felt weird. I remember wanting to grow out my hair like my friends at school, but being unable to do so. Playing that part included getting my hair buzz cut constantly throughout my youth. All my brothers and I had the exact unflattering haircut till I was about 15, when my mom started going to beauty school. And, oh gosh, thank gosh for that. I was finally allowed to grow out my hair at least another inch, so it wasn't a buzz cut all the time. Which wasn't nearly what I wanted, but, you know, a small victory. In the words of an old ex, old pictures of me just kind of look like an awkward butch lesbian, which is funny because I describe myself a lot more femme now. Like, really go into the femme aspect of everything. When I can, anyways, you know, show and present myself, as you can see through my model. But yeah, I definitely agreed with them at the time. I did definitely look like an awkward butch lesbian. Eventually, I just couldn't trick my brain into all this anymore. I started growing hair on parts of my body I didn't even know possible. Seemed like no end in sight. This led to like even more internalized depression and self-hatred. I want to tear my skin off. Gosh forbid I suggest how I felt to my hyper-religious parents. I could only fathom what the heck they would say. So I tried playing the part of their son for 21 years. Like an actor in a play at like freaking gunpoint. I think I did a pretty convincing job. I sang a mariachi how my dad wanted. I helped with yard work when needed. Other manual labor he needed help with. I remember being quite sad when I no longer had the same singing range as the other girls in the choir class I was in. But I endured. I even mentioned to a girlfriend at the time how I never felt like a boy one night. I remember breaking down in tears, but too scared to seek any form of other help or communicate with anyone ever again. I never brought it up again with her. I just, as if like it never happened. I was just too scared to confront and face these feelings. I tried once and I pushed it away again. I was just terrified. I didn't know what to do. I was scared of the world being against me. This was during a time where gay was such a common insult term if anyone grew up around the same time as I did. I remember it being thrown at me plenty of times as a teen and me hearing it in my head going, well, yeah, I am, but not in the way you think. Because I've never been attracted to men. It's just, so I was just like, gay, but in lesbian sense. Like, the word lesbian always resonated with me. And it makes a lot of sense now. I remember being asked on the bus if I was a bear, and at the time I didn't know what that meant. I was just confused. And then I later went home and Googled it. And then I was like, oh, that's what he meant. And like, at the time I wasn't like particularly offended. I was like, oh yeah, they thought I was gay. Like, that's kind of cool. I don't know, but as you can see, I was always some kind of queer. I could always tell. Something in my brain always let me know. I was scared to bring it up to my siblings for the fear of what they could possibly say. Maybe they would tell my parents. So I bottled it up as the best as I could in the deepest depths of my mind. I managed to suppress my transness for as long as I could. For so very long, but feelings never disappeared. I knew deep down they never really could. One of my final semesters of college one day, I had enough. I ordered falsies. So like false tits, if anyone's curious. Doesn't know what that means. For me clothes, which I'd earned some money from playing at weddings and birthday parties and even funerals when I was in the band in college. One day I walked out of my room and I came out crying and shaking, and I came out to my roommates. They're super sweet and supportive. They're amazing. And yeah, a few days later I posted on social media that who I really was. And then I obviously I blocked some people before I made that post. But yeah, and then since then it's been me out. I threw the old dead name into the wind. I threw it into the trash can. Never to hear it again. Socially transitioning didn't magically fix my trauma, though, or anxiety or depression, though, as much as I wish it did. I slowly came out to other people I trusted, my siblings, professors, even other bandmates in college. I remember feeling awkward, yet euphoric wearing all the clothes that I finally wanted to wear at long last. Within a month, I luckily was able to start medically transitioning. I was able to see a doctor and get that all started, and that was amazing. I was scared people would still see me as a joke still, with all this trauma that's just been built over the years and seeing how other people were treated. I started out using they them pronouns when I first came out, but then I came to realize that she her was definitely way more affirming to me. It's like I used it as like a stepping stone that I know didn't feel right for me, but I felt like it would help people misgender me less. I don't know if that was just the deal, but I definitely learned later on. I was like, why didn't I do that? But you live and you learn. And yeah, it was like I put on a band-aid on a giant battle scar, asking people to use she her was me finally getting the stitches I needed to truly start closing and healing the wound. I was scared of what others would think of me with the real me finally out, but I was ready to cut ties with whoever didn't want to be around me. I remember the agony of coming out to my parents a month later, after growing tired of still hearing my dead name at home. I remember reading, "I will never see you as anything but my son," from my father. And, that was fun to read. And, constant months of dead naming and misgendering and realizing how conditional the love he had for me was. I remember how awkward moving out of my college apartment was, not saying a word to him the whole time. I moved all my belongings out of my old apartment, back home. It stung. I was extremely angry. My mom promised that he would be completely fine with it, and he wasn't. Even my mom had her moments, but we'll get to that later. Basically, my roommate did a great job of yelling me down the hallway for me plenty of times while I was moving out, and he happened to be around, so I really appreciate him. If anyone's wondering, I haven't had a conversation while living with him for, I'd say, close to 3, probably 4 years now. That's just something I've come to accept. Just play the avoid game. If he won't take me as who I am, then he doesn't get to be in my life, essentially. Anyways, my mother's reaction appeared to be good at the time, goodwill, but it came with conditions which hurt just as bad. I remember wearing affirming clothes around the house one night, and she walked up to me crying and saying, "Please stop doing that, because your dad seems to be having an aneurysm over it. I'm scared he's going to have another stroke." And just like that, I stopped wearing all of the stuff that I wanted to wear. All that stuff I spent unpacking and to finally be me, yeah, I put that all away again. So that hurt a lot. She has gotten better, but it's still a lot to learn, but before I truly feel comfortable around her again. I could talk to her only for small chunks at a time, honestly, before she says something freaking crazy in defense of my wildly transphobic father. But luckily throughout all this, my siblings and friends, they backed me up. Sent me messages of support throughout the tough times of mine, which I don't think I could ever say thank you enough for. In the time where I felt most vulnerable, all the friends just felt like shields against everything. I felt betrayal from those who wouldn't accept this girl I was, all along. I took therapy for me and more time for me to set up boundaries and learn it was okay to protect myself from cutting out all this hate and toxicity. It took so much time to finally get here, but I'm here today. And at long last, I look into the mirror and I get to go, hey, that's me. The girl right there in the mirror. And she's been there all along. This entire time I've been crying over having the wrong puberty. And all these changes out of my control, I've still been me the entire time. And it's something really cool to look at and look back at now. I often think back and grieve all this lost time. I felt I was robbed of so much time that I could have been presenting as myself. If I had known the options I'd known as an adult, if only I had a better support system growing up, I get angry and frustrated at what my childhood was. What was my fucked up boyhood that I had? It wasn't for me. It was a bunch of experiences that I didn't want to have and had forced on me because of who people thought I was. I hated a lot of it, in particular being forced to fill this box, which I was never meant to be. I wish to experience like school life wearing a uniform that I wanted to wear. Wanted to be able to grow out my hair. I wanted my mom to teach me how to braid and brush my long hair. Even now, this is stuff I have to learn and look up on my own. I just don't get to ask her. I don't feel comfortable enough doing that. What if I wasn't trans? What if I never had this falling out with my father, aunts and uncles and other family members? What if I didn't have to hide in my room when people came over to visit? What if I didn't skip social gatherings and simply got gendered correctly always and my voice wasn't so deep? Maybe finding a partner wouldn't be so terrifying and difficult. I grieve all these things. I run through what if scenarios quite often in my head of dysphoria, even in moments of escapism when I'm reading books, but at the same time, it doesn't have to all be negative. I try to think back at what good I was able to take from my situation growing up as a closeted trans child. I'm glad I got to see this flawed part of my father, as weird as it is to say. I think it's important to hold loved ones accountable. Even if I myself wasn't trans and I was born a cis woman, I wouldn't want him thinking the way he does still. Trans individuals aren't trying to hurt anyone, they're just trying to live their life that they felt denied for so long, in some cases. Even longer than mine in other cases. At least I know that's how I feel when I hear laws attempting to be passed to regulate and silence people like me. While I still think my father is an absolute tool most days, I'm sure my regular audience and my therapist knows he's also taught me kindness. I just had to learn how to manipulate that kindness that he used and not be so situational how he has it. Not make it a facade like I've often witnessed. I learned respect from boundaries for the lack of it, honestly. He taught me what not to do to communicate my feelings. It's a bunch of counterpoints of what I don't want to do when I grow up. Showed me how unhealthy bottling hate and anger is. My mother taught me ways to say I love you without words. It's something I don't hear commonly in my family, but she shows it through actions. She does, like, when she makes food, or she does chores around the house, or she helps me with laundry, like, even cleaning up when I'm out of the house a couple days. Through all this misfortune, I learned how much I despise a suit on my body when I was forced to wear one to prom and to homecoming, even the thought of having to wear one to a wedding at some point. However, even now, I wouldn't want to delete those memories, for with them comes my friends who still support me to this day from high school, some from me in elementary school. We shared laughs despite the long out-of-body experience I have when I look at photos. I cringe at the stuff I was forced to wear and style to meet the mold, but I was doing the best I could out of the situation. And who doesn't cringe at old videos and pictures of themselves, looking back, trans or not? But I still grieve my lack of girlhood, or the twisted version that I did experience. I cope with the strange girlhood I experienced through medias like books, webcomics, anime. I live vicariously through others to get back the time I thought I lost. I read adventures of teen girls solving mysteries in their town, or finding love, or finding an escape from their own trauma experiences, just to take back what I felt I lost. I've played countless RPGs. I've even been so excited to get to represent myself in like ways I truly felt like me. Kind of like the Monster Hunter you're seeing on the screen. Or maybe Minecraft, I'm not sure what I'm going to decide for this, in all honesty, to what to display. But so many different kinds of games where I get to show me. And it's just so awesome having the opportunity to show who I am. I've played countless RPGs and been so excited to represent myself the ways I truly felt. Even more ecstatic when I get to customize my clothes, hair, makeup, and name. It provided me with such an outlet to be me. But my friends taught me to love the parts of me I still suffer with, like my voice. A friend once pointed out how I speak like a valley girl with a deeper voice. I will never forget the memory of playing Goose Duck Duck with friends, and somebody had my voice pitched up, and oh my gosh, I never thought I spoke like a valley girl until that moment. And yes, I 100% speak like a valley girl with a deep voice. It is wildly insane. I've always been the girl I've seen myself as, even when others didn't or don't see me that way. To this day. Chosen family, friends, and my therapist have been there to remind me of that. For 21 years of my life, it felt like I was forced to play a fool, a puppet for the masses, my family. I'm proud to say no more. Now I get to be Mio, the girl that I've always been meant to be. The girl I was all along. Maybe my life was just one long mecha anime metaphor. I'm not sure. I haven't gotten to that part of my transit yet, but I do have to watch the Witcher Mercury, I think it's called. It's on my wish list. I do need to get to that at some point. I've started liking pickles since I started HRT, which I know is a trans girl thing that I've heard of. They're all parts of my experience leading to this ditzy, silly, procrastinating prone girl I've been this whole time. I transitioned, but that doesn't mean I get to leave procrastination behind. Although, I wish I did. I wish that came with the HRT. Anyways, this video was primarily made for myself, but also to let other trans individuals know it's not too late. We come from the most fucked up beginnings at times, and we still can end up where we're meant to be. You are loved and supported from goofballs like me, even in times that feel scary to face. Take it a day at a time. If an airhead like Neo can do it, so can you. I believe in you. But yeah, that's about it. I hope y'all enjoyed hearing about my life story. This is something I've been putting off making for a while. If you're interested in hearing me yap more or have any questions, you can do so in the comments below. You can ask me on my Twitch channel. I stream occasionally there. Same thing under Airhead Mio. Yeah. I hope this video can provide the support that I know I needed when I was growing up. And just for anyone else out there who needed to hear any of this, you're not alone. Take care, friends.